Hey everyone. It's kind of interesting about how there's stuff out there that you can pay for or put your money in, like a saving, and believe you can trust in it, when in reality it's more of a scam than you thought it was. It can happen very rarely, especially if that thing is held up by people you trust and hold their opinion on a high merit. But that doesn't eliminate the fact that there's some shady stuff going on behind the scenes with said thing. However, I've just mentioned now that this video is completely held up by CoffeeZilla's most recent video, where it talked about like the most bizarre financial service I've ever seen in my life, called Yotta. Like, it's so batshit insane, it feels like an actual Wolf of Wall Street scheme, you steal money and not get cracked down by the law. A lot of stuff I'll be referencing will come from that video, but I'll try my best to keep everything here concise and understandable. But I can't recommend CoffeeZilla's video enough, and I'll have a link to it in the description, because if you want the full story, like all the facts, that's where you'll find it. But in this video of mine, I really want you to talk about it because it's so perplexing, I can't help but like not find it funny. To give a quick rundown, you might have heard of Yotta about like 2 or 3 years ago when they were like first mentioned like in sponsorships. They're one of those businesses that mainly does advertising for YouTubers, which in my opinion is not the best, but it's your budget, do whatever you want with it. It was initially advertised as a savings account, which doesn't sound that bad. How can you get angry at someone promoting that? Like, who's gonna get hurt? But if it stated that, there'd still be no issue. It only arose as a problem when it transitioned to an online casino, like for gambling. And already, I don't blame you if you find that dumb and confusing, but their loophole to make it seem like they're not gambling and just still be seen as a good boy is that they're more so a sweepstake and not gambling, even though they're really the same thing. It is not really that big of a difference. And to support that loophole, they have another loophole where to gamble, you have to buy like the currency they have. There's not actual cash, it's Yotta cash, where you can't buy that because that'd be like casino chips. You have to buy tokens, like a much more generic currency, and you might get as a nice treat, as a nice bonus, Yotta cash individually. And if you look at the prices, it's exactly what you want. Like for $10 you get 13 Yotta cash, for 20 you get 25 Yotta cash. Like very blatantly to your face, make you run a bunch of errands in order to save themselves, not be seen as an online casino, which they're not. But that whole Yotta cash thing is a funny cherry on top of the cake when it's so dumb, the idea of like them transitioning from savings to just gambling. Sadly, if that's where it ended, it would be like a nice little funny up where they try to make more money, because even like Yotta admitted to CoffeeZilla himself that they only did this to make more money compared to just giving people a normal savings account to put the money in. But that's only a very small factor compared to like the main reason why Yotta's getting like so much backlash and attention, that being that they're freezing people's money in the account that they have on their savings. To showcase how insane this is, you have a range of people that have like $5,000 frozen to up to $100 grand that they can't access. It's stuck in that rotting app. Like if this was an actual bank for a physical building, people would throw Molotovs at it and raise it. There's one very heartbreaking part that CoffeeZilla brought up, like some guy that he had like a wedding planned and he had like a mortgage set up for a house that he really wanted with his fiance, and exactly that on with the wedding venue was asking for a deposit for the event. That's when Yotta shit himself and didn't give him his money. In order to fully explain the story why, this is the part where I put on my bachelor's degree in finance. But if you want the full story, like a much better explanation than I could give, again, like I said, we'll go watch the CoffeeZilla video. But if so far you're this deep in the video, I might as well try my best to dissect it. Essentially, the reason why Yotta is like way more held up as a savings account than a bank is because they're not FDIC insured. And FDIC being a government corporation, that basically ensures that if a bank fails, like they up and they can't give people money, they step in and sort the mess out to make sure people get their money back and not get over. They're the entire reason why people trust banks in the US, and they only put the money in, they're gonna get it out whenever they want it. So the only reason why Yotta's up, if they're not FDI insured, is that they owned by another bank, Evolve, who actually is. Which makes sense, if you've got a tiny savings account or a business that only does so, you understand why it'd have to be held up by a much bigger business, like a bank. And they could manage Yotta all by themselves. But now you have another filthy, grimy middleman service provider called Synapse, and they basically manage like all the technical sides, like the servers and IT, to make sure that Yotta is still up and running. So now that you have a decent image of like the family tree or like the diagram of like how this business is held up by handshakes, now you understand why like the entire crux where people can't withdraw money is because Evolve and Synapse had a dispute against each other and went to trial, where Synapse denied them access to what they call the dashboard, which is just the servers where all the money information is held and makes a connection for it to be like sent back and forth. Meaning that Evolve entirely lost like their IT and technical aspect to help them manage Yotta. And this sounds like a very minor issue that could be solved like in a week, where they find like a different service provider to make sure that Yotta is still like up and running while they go on trial. But they haven't. And when you have so many factors to play, it makes it nearly impossible to like point who the blame is at and make them come forward to fix the issue. The best way I can describe it is that Yotta is like a lemonade stand. They don't make the drink themselves. They have Evolve in the kitchen making it for them and bring it to the stand. But they only do it, like they only sit in the kitchen because Synapse, they're the one with the cash box or the tiny rusty register where people put the money in. So people give money to Yotta first for a lemonade, and Yotta gives it to Synapse, but it's a dispute between them and Evolve. That means that all the customers at the stand have to wait for the dispute to be solved to get the lemonade or just get a refund at bare minimum. That was the best way I could describe with people that still found out how to like wrap their brain around, and I don't blame them. But I just found it so funny that something like this simple is just so overly complex when it could just easily be solved by giving Evolve access to the IT services. That's what I want to mention, brought up by Coffeezilla, that made me think about a lot, was how like all the sponsorships by YouTubers come into play now. With all the YouTubers that promoted Yotta as a savings account 2 or 3 years ago, which wasn't that big of an issue because back then it was still somewhat reliable where you could at least, take your money out when you wanted it. So you can't really get angry at people for that. But you can't get angry at the people that still accept sponsorships by Yotta, and still prompt it up, despite the reputation they have, and how they just evolved to just being a gambling service. The worst people ever that could promote Yotta was like finance YouTubers, where people like their own fan base trust them. So if they hold up a service as reliable, their fans will sadly fall into it. There's even a part in Coffeezilla's video where he reached out to YouTubers that were sponsored by them, and a lot of them only say like how awful they feel. But honestly, at this point, you've already done the video, fair enough, but it would be like decent to at least warn your fans that might like, rewatch the video and still trust it. I think when it comes to sponsors, many YouTubers just accept whatever they get emailed because they believe it immediately without stepping back and looking at like, the actual company and what they provide, and if you can really trust them. This all reminds me of BetterHelp, where before in the past they were getting backlash because it was found out like half of their trained therapists were just like nobodies that were barely suitable for the job. And despite that, you still have people like saying them for sponsors before in the past and even now. And I haven't really used them, but if I did, I would doubt the quality of the mental help I would get. If Yotta was any other service that didn't involve stealing people's money, I would find this funny. But again, sadly, there's a bunch of people that have a shit ton of money with them that's just frozen and they can't access it. And for those people, I honestly pray that dispute between Synapse and Evolve, comes to an end quickly so that they can finally access their own money that they desperately need.